we? Okay. I will call this regular city council meeting to order, August 13, 2025. The time is 5:38 p.m. I welcome all the members of the public to the meeting and ask that you join us for a moment of silence, after which Councillor Roundtree will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A reminder to all councillors to put on your microphones. Madam Clerk, will you do a roll call, please?
Mayor Kidman,
Here.
Vice Mayor Farrow,
Here.
Councillor Hettinger,
Here.
Councillor Preller,
Here.
Councillor Roundtree,
Here.
Councillor Augie,
Here.
Councillor Hammond.
Here.
Item 3, the consent agenda. We have 4 items. City Council regular minutes, July 30 of 2025. Special event liquor license application for Lake Powell Chamber. Temporary extension of premises patio permit for Sunset 89 and purchase of 2023 Genie Basket lift. Any comments or questions on our consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve items 3.1, 2, 3, and 4 of the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion from Councillor Preller and a second from Councillor Hettinger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Amanda, let's test yours.
Aye.
Okay, it was unanimous. Thank you. Item number 4, we have a liquor license public hearing for Gone West Family Restaurant. So at this time, I will open the public hearing for this liquor license. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to address the board or the council? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Item number 5, hear from the citizens. We do have 2 blue cards. We'll start with Vicky.
I have to go over here.
Yes, so that the microphone and the YouTube can get your voice.
Mike. Vicki Alexander Page. I just want to thank the City Council and Mr. Richard for the breezeway. They came in, they trimmed the trees. We have lights along the breezeway from the flower shop and Powwow Trading Post clear down to the alley. And the kids that are going to jiu-jitsu classes, their parents have said, "Who did this? This is amazing." So all I want to do is thank you very much, and I love the parking on 6th. Great job.
Thank you. We also have Angie, but you can decide to have it to address us now or at the item agenda, at the point of the agenda. Which one would you rather do?
I'll wait.
Okay.
Mayor, there's somebody.
Did you want to fill out a blue card?
Sure, I'd like to speak.
I'll need for you to fill out a blue card, and then we can call on your name, okay?
My name's John, I'd like to speak. I just told you everything's going to tell you on that card, sir.
Say again?
We're here from the citizens.
It just takes a moment just to fill it out.
I'm not filling up that card, I'd like to speak.
Well, then I will be moving on to the next agenda item.
Thank you very much, did all the services.
Okay, the next item, number 6, reports and announcements. From my mayor's report on the update of the fire impact, the public, I have been attending the 10 a.m. daily meetings for the fire update. As of today, it's 44% contained. It's the progress that they're making is very interesting to watch when they discuss the different borders and the terrain and the difficulty and the fuel. They are making good progress. We've been very fortunate that the smoke has been traveling more to our south, so our air has been much better. And they're going to continue to give us those 10 o'clock daily updates. So that's all that I have. Over to City Manager. Current events. Did you have anything for us?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, just one announcement. We're going to be doing our postings in the Arizona Daily Sun. This is with the announcement that the Lake Powell Chronicle is not going to be in distribution, at least for the meantime. We don't know what the future of that's going to be for sure, but for the upcoming foreseeable future, we're going to be going into the Daily Sun. I just want to recognize Natalie Ferrando. She runs our non-kill center. We have above 95% save rate, and we have for the last 10 years. And sure appreciate Natalie. Has done a very successful, a great job down there. And we appreciate also any volunteers and that go down there, and she can always use help. So, appreciate the community support. Staff is interviewing some planning and zoning candidates, so we're hoping that we get close to that. And we have received several candidates for the public information officer position, but we have not started interviews yet. And that's pretty much what I have.
I was supposed to put a bug in your ear about an update on our splash pad. It's not on the agenda for, okay.
I've talked to Kyle on that, and I know that's on the radar, but I don't have a start date or exactly where we're at. I'd have to do a little research and drill into details on that.
Item number 7, boards and commissions. Do we have any liaison reports for any board meetings that happened since our last council meeting? Councilor Hettinger.
Just want to report that the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board did not meet because we didn't have quorum.
Any others? And normally I would have reported on PUE, but they have postponed for 1 week on their meeting. Okay, next item, number 8.1, under unfinished business, BMX and splash pad grant updates. I guess that's where it is. That would be over to Josh.
So we've got a couple of grants hanging out there, and wanted to get a little direction from the council. So for the first one on the splash pad, we do have our construction drawings, and they did submit everything for permits. I think they're planning to, I haven't driven by there. I don't know if they've broken any ground yet, have they? So they're working, they've broken ground. Last I heard from them, which is not really recently, I think they're still shooting to be done in October. They're hoping that they'll be done by mid-October, early October with that project. You may recall that the city was awarded a $500,000 grant to assist with the splash pad, and that it got hung up in, they approved the grant, but they never gave us the money, and it got hung up somewhere. And anyways, what they're telling us is that it may still be a few weeks away before we get final approval, but they think that we're going to get approval. The state recommended to us that we not spend any money because we can't get reimbursed for anything before the grant is awarded. We haven't done anything. We haven't told them, the contractor, to stop, because it was kind of staff's understanding that this was a priority to keep moving forward with the city council. So we just wanted to make sure that you didn't have any objections about that, and that if we lose out on some grant money at the end of the day, we may, but there's no guarantees of when or if we'll get it or whatever, who knows. It's been months and months and months hung up. So if anybody has any strong feelings about that, feel free to give some direction. On the yep.
So can I have a question? So if the project gets, and the grant money hasn't, but then it eventually comes through, can we jump in and do another splash pad or another small project or something with it, or are we lost it?
we probably have lost it. But if it does come through within the next couple of weeks, like they're saying, we'll still
There's no
spend a
problem.
lot of money. Yeah.
I understand that, but I was just wondering if it doesn't come in for 3 months or 6 months.
I
Is
don't
it
know.
something that we could put,
We might be able to. I don't honestly know.
Okay.
They might work with us just because it got hung up for so long and let us do another project. I have no idea. We could try, but there's no guarantees.
okay, thank you.
So I don't even know how much council's aware. Staff had also gone after a grant that was $298,000 project we had submitted. We got $149,000 from the state. This is also the state parks that administers this. And the grant project was a BMX pump park that was to be located on Reinhold Lake. And this is a park that would be dirt with some asphalt over the top of it that people can ride bikes on and whatnot. We're required to construct a road and to put in an all-weather parking lot, to run a water line out there and some other things. So that all kind of got approved by the state and they awarded us some money. We did go out to RFP on that, and even with the city taking on the cost of doing all the road, parking lot, and running the water line, we were still above budget. It still came in over $500,000 just for the dirt with the asphalt on it. There were some concerns about the location of that, being that it's a flooded area, and that's where we direct all of our flood water is to that area. And there's no mitigation to deal with that flood water. I guess the idea was that it would just flood the bike park and we couldn't use it while it was flooded, and then when the water's receded, you could use the bike park. I don't know how that would work out for the longevity of the park. I'm not an engineer, but anyways, so we started looking at moving it closer to the sports complex instead of out there in the middle of the desert. If we pushed it up against the side, we still have some slope and some things to deal with over there, but we could probably get it done for closer to $500,000. In order to make that happen, we would need to do some land swapping with the school district, because they actually own property that goes all the way from those back ball fields. They own a little strip that goes all the way to the 4-H barn. So we would have to give them an easement so they have access, and then they were going to maybe quit claim us that property. We're already a little bit behind the 8 ball on, we're supposed to have already started this project, but we're kind of trying to get our ducks in a row still. So just wanted to get some direction from the city council as to whether this project is a priority, whether you want us to pursue this and start having the survey work done to start doing the land swap, and hopefully we can kind of let the state know what we're working on and that they'll give us extensions to get this done.
Any comments, questions? Councilor Roundtree.
So is this not something the Park and Recreation voted in favor of, and then the board, previous city council they didn't give direction, did they not vote an approval for this project already? So where do we stand on that if it was already?
I believe there was money in the budget. I don't remember ever having a specific discussion with the city council about a design or any of that kind of stuff specific to the BMX park, but we do have $350,000 in the general fund, which I was told by the previous city manager was allocated to this project.
So the board never,
I don't know about the.
because when I was on Park and Recreation, they never talked about it, and when we heard about it, we were wondering where it came from, because Park didn't. So I was wondering if, since then, in the last year, if the Park and Recreation has approved it or where they're at.
Councilor Hettinger.
Thank you, Mayor. I can give an update. I know that they started talking about this before I became the liaison, but I think between the two of us, we cover Parks and Rec for that whole time. So we've received updates of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, but the board never voted specifically directing this project to move forward. It wasn't direction that came from the board. From my understanding, we've just received updates that it's something that we're working on. So I think that this was led by staff primarily with this grant opportunity.
So that's what I was asking, because when I was in Park and Recreation, we were like, where did this come from? We had never heard about it.
Yeah.
At least you guys have gotten updates on it, so.
And I don't mean to say that anyone is necessarily opposed to
Oh,
it
I'm not
on Parks and
opposed to
Rec.
it. I'm just wondering
but-
the history of it and what we
Yeah.
can do tonight. Because if it's not been approved and it's not a unanimous vote, then we could make a vote tonight whether we're in favor or against.
Yeah, it's never been council directed to do it. I suppose that that would have come when we when we went through the RFP process, selected a contractor, and then brought it to council to award the project. That would have been, but we've never made it that far because we keep running into challenges.
Well, I have one reservation. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around spending $500,000 on something that's going to be flooded.
Well, that's my concern, because I know when it's wet here what that place looks like. I've taken my kids down there to play in it, so.
So we would move it. It wouldn't be flooded anymore, but we'd have to figure out how we get access, and we'd have to work with the state because in our grant application, we made representations that we would build an all-weather road and parking lot out there. If we move it up closer to the sports complex, I don't know whether the state would allow us to use the sports complex parking, but for anybody who's been over there, we have grade issues coming off of there. Somebody could ride a bike off of that, no problem, a BMX on some of those trails and get down there. The other thing to be aware of is this is going to be asphalted and dirt and if we accept the grant money, we have to maintain those improvements for 25 years. So we would have to continue to, if the pavement crumbles in 15, 10 years, we'd have to repave it. So that's one of the strings that's attached to that money. But I think we would make sure that we weren't in a flood area or in a wash or anything like that.
Councilor Hettinger.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question on this one because I know with federal grants in the past, we've discussed that if we don't use the money, we might not get federal grants in the future. There's some sensitivity there. If we were to reject this $149,000 from the state Parks and Rec, I think, is there any concern that we're less likely to get grants in the future, or is that less of a problem with the state?
Do you have any sense of that?
I think it's more on the federal side.
Okay.
It's a federal, and this isn't a federal grant.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Roundtree.
And again, then, is this specifically for a BMX bike? Thank you.
Yes, that was the project that we said we were going to do. And I think it was based upon the little bit of, we went out to RFP and got some pricing. What we had indicated in the application as far as the cost that we anticipated, we were way low on. We basically told them we could do all of this stuff for $298,000. And we'll probably, if you got to build a road and a parking lot, you're going to be in excess of $1 million. If we can not have to build a road and parking lot, we could maybe do it for, $500,000-ish, but you're still going to be $150 over budget. So it just kind of depends on whether this is something project that the council wants to see happen.
Councilor Augie and then Councilor Preller.
Yeah, the skate park was that was years ago, 10 years or whatever, and that was 400 plus. So, yeah, doing anything now with the asphalt, concrete, whatever it is, road base, it's just, so we just need to decide whether we want to do it or not for the BMX people and the little kiddies.
Councilor Preller.
Yeah, I think if we have the opportunity to ask if we can reuse the sports complex parking facilities, I think that'd be excellent. That'd reduce cost and complexity, and reduce, reuse, and recycle parking spaces. And we've got excellent parking facilities down there. So I think we should pursue that and try to get the maximum out of it. I think that would be a good way to enhance the recreation area down there, but I don't necessarily see that as like the main event of recreation. So having it in an area that floods and maintaining that for the next 25 years, I think might be a pit in more ways than one.
Councilor Hettinger.
I think as a final thought, I like what Councilor Preller said. If we're able to reuse the parking lot, great. If not, while I like this project, I wouldn't say it's a priority for me right now. And just given the complexity of negotiating with the school district and moving everything and the work that would need to be done there, and then potentially spending a lot of money on a new parking lot in that same area. I'd love to revisit this in the future, but it's not necessarily a priority for me with everything else going on right now.
So are you talking about if it required a parking lot, or are you talking about if we can reuse the other parking lot and do the lower amount?
I would be interested what the cost is. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't want staff to spend a ton of time on this. Even if we can reuse the parking lot, if it's going to take a lot of time and then it's going to come in way over budget, I don't know that this is a priority. If we're able to reuse the parking lot and that's an easy decision and then we feel like it's doable within our current just staffing position at the city, great, but $149,000 is not, given the cost that this project likely will be, I don't think that $150,000 is worth trying to save specifically for this project.
Councilor Roundtree?
I would like to have a visual. I agree with Councilor Preller and Hedinger, but I would like to see, because I've lived here and I've seen the flooding, I would like to go down there and see where it would be moved to and what I felt could possibly be the risk of the flooding still, because I agree. The minute I heard this before we were on council, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's Reinhold Lake, and that's why we call it Reinhold Lake, because that's where we would take our kids and they would play on the lake in the water up to their knees or thighs or whatever. So I would like to see where the proposal is that you're moving it up the hill and what that still possibly looks like, and if the water's running off, and if it's going to be a huge maintenance thing, then I agree. It's not one of my priorities right now, even though I would like to see this come to fruition, but not if I have to build a parking lot and it's $1 million, no.
If you're familiar with it down there, as you go on the road, you leave the sports complex parking lot and it kind of turns into a road going back to the fields.
Soccer field,
Right where it curves to the soccer fields, that last curve, it would be right off of that curve as close as we can get to the pavement right there. So we would be a ways from the parking area. I don't know whether the state would allow us to have, because you're several hundred yards from where our parking area is up there, because we would be down by close to the baseball fields, because that's where we don't have as many drainage issues and there's not as much grade down there. So we try to build it as close to the road as we can, right at that curve where it goes into the baseball, or the baseball and soccer fields.
So is there a way then from that parking lot to put a sign and say this is where the trail starts and they start from there?
Good. Yeah, we might be able to do something like that, do a bike trail to that place.
From the parking lot?
There's a couple of washes that you have to cross, just the way that the water drains out there. But, so we'd have to look at it.
So one more question.
Yep.
Then what is our risk if it's going through washes and that there could be a flash flood, and that we've set up a dirt bike for small children in an area that they're going to have a blast if they're standing water, and there could be more water coming through there? Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Legally, none, because as we have immunity for recreation areas. Now, that doesn't mean that we want to make dangerous areas, but technically, legally, we don't have any liability for recreation areas by law.
Well, and those washes
Unless
that you
we charge money to
washes
do
that
it.
you were talking about would have to be compensated for with either drainage underneath the trail.
Yes, we would either have to, or just have them go through it. I don't know how wide or how sandy it is down there, all those kinds of things. But the easiest would probably just be to have them ride their bike on the asphalt and then have an entrance down closer towards where the park is. Just go right down into it, but I don't know. We also have to clear out enough area because the grant requires us to put in bleachers and other things out there. So it would have to be a big enough area to do the pump track with bleachers. We have to run a water line over there because they have to have a place to hose off bicycles and whatnot. So it would, that was all included in the grant. That was what we sold the state that we were going to build. So we've got to build it.
Any chance we can just build ramps over all the washes? It would look really cool, and it would help nurture Paige's first X Games medalist.
I'd like to entertain a motion if anybody feels like we are at a point we can. Councilor Augie?
I'd like to move that we just kind of defer this project, $150,000. It's not gonna come close to what it's gonna cost. And so the benefit, I don't think from where we want to put it in, everything is feasible, so defer it.
Do I have a second? Do we need a second?
You would, yeah, it was a
I mean,
motion. so
This
you
is a
need
motion,
second.
yeah.
I will second, and then I have a question. What does it mean if we defer it? Like, is this a good
Put it on
motion? I
hold?
think we're trying to just say that we don't really care, right?
We're going to put it on hold for now.
What effectively what that would do, because we're already supposed to have started we would essentially just be turning back the grant and saying, thank you, we appreciate it, but we just ran into too many logistical issues. I mean, we would be diplomatic about it with the state and tactful, but from a practical standpoint, given where we're at and the timing of where they want us to be with the project, we would be walking away from it.
Perfect. I wanted to make sure that I understood.
To the next budget year.
Councillor Preller?
Can I just pitch the idea that we take a little bit of staff's time to evaluate if this is possible to do without major parking lot and build out fees like that? And if we can do it quick, cheap, and easy, that's the dream right there. Then we go ahead with it, and if not, we'll just delay it till another day.
Councillor Roundtree and then Councillor Hettinger.
So my question is, why does it have to be paved? Because I've been to some BMX things and they are dirt and there are paths and it is all dirt. So why do we have to pave it?
Because we said we would. So the other option is we can do a BMX pump track that's scaled down and just say, thanks state, we're not going to use your $150,000, we're just going to do a scaled down park. And we got $350,000 budgeted for the project. But we told the state we represented that it would be paved asphalt.
And so then we wouldn't have to do the bleachers, and it could just be an area that we set aside and mark off, and people could use it for that.
We can do whatever we want if we don't take the grant money. We can build whatever kind of pump track we want.
Okay. I like that.
Councillor Preller?
If we didn't do asphalt and didn't do the grant money and just did a dirt top pump track, would that give us any more options as far as wouldn't need parking requirements within the grant? I mean, we'd have more flexibility to move that around, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't have to ask for their permission to not do the parking lot and we could just do it however we want.
So the differential of having dirt top might make up for that the money saved there might make up for the extra expenses incurred through a parking lot.
Yeah.
Councillor Hettinger?
We're talking about $149,000, 25 years to maintain this, a water line, bleachers. I love the idea. I've got little kids. I love the idea of a pump track. I think we defer it, let the grant go. I would love to see this project come back, but I don't think 149 is worth it. So.
Okay. I think we've discussed enough. We have a motion by Councillor Augie and a second from Councillor Hettinger. All in favor of letting this go, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Does staff need any direction on the splash pad, or
No, we'll just
Okay.
keep proceeding as we are now with construction. We're not going to stop them. We're just going to proceed unless we got a motion otherwise, so.
Okay. On to item 9, new business, 9.1, the liquor license for Gone West Family Restaurant. Entertain a motion?
I just want to recuse myself from discussion and voting on this.
Okay. I have a motion for this. Councillor Hettinger?
Mayor, I move to approve the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control application for Series Number 12, restaurant liquor license for Gone West Family Restaurant, Rochelle Marie Mager. Apologies on pronunciation.
And I'll second it.
I have a motion from Councillor Hettinger and a second from Councillor Roundtree. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 9.2, bid award for 17th Avenue sewer line expansion. Who is this going to be presented by? Kyle.
The next two.
Good evening, Mayor Kidman and members of the council. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. What you have before you is the culmination of a project we started last fiscal year, and the design was to extend the sewer line from 17th Avenue onto airport property and south to facilitate future development. So we've put together a design. We've had ADEQ approve the design for constructability. We put it out for bid, and we received 3 qualifying bids. And staff recommends the contract to be awarded to Pat Byrne Construction LLC. Any questions?
Councilor Augie.
Yep, this will be for the new hangars and additional stuff out there.
Yeah, this will, not just for the new hangars that are there, but this will open us up to the development on that northwest
And
corner as shown.
Are we going to stub it out for the potential fire station out there?
Absolutely.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the 17th Avenue sewer line extension.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Augie and a second from Councilor Preller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Oh, are you on the next one too?
I am on the next one, Your Mayor.
Okay, item 9.3. I can have you present, or would you like to speak before or after the presentation? I'll give you that option. For item 9.3, the bid award for Hall Road improvements.
Thank you, Mayor. So this particular project was, we received some direction again last fiscal year to make some improvements to the existing Para Club area. As we know that we're going to be inviting public to this area, there are no curb gutter sidewalks or accessibility for pedestrians to get to that facility. So we worked with our on-call engineer. We had them develop a design that provides for sidewalks along the length of the property and from the east end of the property all the way to Via Valdez, which is the first major road that enters into Lake Powell Mobile Home Village. And that includes curb, gutter, sidewalk, and additional street lighting as needed. It also includes a connector from that sidewalk that will carry pedestrians into the facility, and everything is ADA compliant. We put this out for bid. We only received 1 bid. It is considered a good bid for B4 construction. We've reviewed that bid, and we've had discussions with B4 about the project. So staff recommends that the award be given to B4 construction, or B4 Enterprises, excuse me.
Any comments or questions? Councilor Hettinger and then Councilor Roundtree.
I apologize for not looking this up ahead of time. How much had we set aside in the budget for this project?
Originally, when we developed this budget, we had intended to use the $600,000 that was first put in last year. We used some of that funds for the design. This year, we have kind of some large lump sum amounts in capital, both under facility improvements and in streets projects. So this will be coming out of that facility-wide improvement fund.
Thank you.
Councilor Roundtree.
So that was part of my question, so thank you. And the second one is that it's much needed down there. I see people walking along there all the time. I hope that sometime we get all of Hall Road done. And I think this is a first step. A lot of students use that area. They walk along there, and I think it's very needed. I drive by there often. It's the route I seem to take, and I'm surprised the number of people that are walking along both sides, and I think it's a great improvement.
Any other questions? Councilor Augie.
Just a comment. We need the whole frickin' road done. And Angie, last year or 2 years ago, she asked for some walkway and lighting down there by her place. That she's put a walk out in front and everything like that, but people walking to her business, and you see the people, like Debbie said, walking up and down the road all the time, especially on the north side, and it's all dirt and stuff like that. If we could just do crushed granite or something like that and get some additional lighting down there, it'd definitely be a benefit. This is good, but we can do better on there. We really need to push to try to get that whole thing done.
So, Councilor, staff is in the process of working on a agreement with our on-call engineer to do a full redesign of Coppermine and Hall Road and include an intersection.
Right.
So that is on our plan. And that's the entire length of Hall Road.
Any more questions? Angie, did you still want to address the council?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name's Angie Krim. I am a community member. I'm a business owner. I'm a taxpayer. I want to read to you guys. So I own the barnyard. I knew that once it was built, we were going to need, obviously, there's hotels and whatnot by just down the road from the barnyard. I knew that we were going to need help. That we needed to make sure our community was safe, that our tourists were safe. And I'm going to read this letter I wrote, mind you, July 7th, 2022. It says, I've been thinking long and hard about this, and I went out and walked around over near our property and looked at all the hotels that are just down the street from the barnyard. I know there will be countless families that decide to walk from their hotels to the barnyard. We are going to need the city to help install sidewalks and lighting. It is going to be very dangerous having families walk on that road night and day, and some parts of Hall Road are just dirt lots. People will be pushing strollers and walking with their children. I'm obviously worried, and so should the city be, that someone is going to get injured or killed. There are so many families that live in the ranchettes that may want to come to see us or walk to Sonic or go walk to Walmart. Basically, Hall Road is moving from an industrial area into a business area with families and hotel and residents that are going to want to start walking on Hall Road. The sports complex is on Hall Road, where all our children and families go to play ball and enjoy other activities. And of course, there's the rodeo grounds that are there now. I feel like this needs to be addressed as soon as possible. I've also started to see threads on Page Online, other people bringing up the same issues. As you know, my family, we've invested millions of dollars into our project and would appreciate support from the city and to help ensure guests can arrive and get home in a safe manner. And not just our guests, but also our staff. Obviously, our staff walk to work or ride bikes or drive. But I said thanks as always for listening. And that was in July, July 2022. So that was 3 years ago. Zach got, at the time, it was Zach Montgomery that I sent that to. I know he CC'd Kyle on that. And then, of course, Darren Caldwell was made aware. And then I've spoken here several times about this issue. Like, obviously, this is something that's really needed. Just the other day, I saw some tourists walking. If you guys have walked down that road at night, it's deadly. It's not like there's even a place on the side where you can walk. It's like it's very steep. It's very dangerous. I also saw a couple local kids walking. My staff walks to work. So I have brought this up for several years. June 2nd, 2024, again, I emailed Darren. He said he'll talk to Phil Falk from PUE about the lighting situation. Darren constantly would email me and say, yes, we're working on it. It's in the budget. It's for next year, next year, next year. February 3rd, fast forward 2025, I sent a letter to Darren, not so nice this time, very frustrated that I have come, brought my family, spent millions of dollars, and I don't ask the city for anything other than, can you please just put in some sidewalks and lighting so my staff, the citizens, our tourists, so everybody is safe. Plus it helps obviously support our business. And Darren didn't even respond to me at that point. So here I am again to say I'm super frustrated. I've been asking for years. It's great to hear that we're going to get sidewalks and lighting over by the Para Club. Obviously, that's very much needed, and I'm happy for that. But you can see how that would feel like a little bit of a slap on the face, or a slap in the face to me, who's been begging for 3 years to get that type of support down near my business and Sonic and the hotels. And I know people that live in the ranchettes that would like to walk to Walmart, and I'm just very frustrated. And I thought I'll come speak again, not that anything ever happens, but I would at least come share my feelings, and I guess that's about it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anything more, Kyle, from you?
I would make a
Councilor
motion.
Roundtree.
I would just like to make a motion that we accept the bid award for Hall Road improvements. And I'm grateful that we're starting this project on Hall Road, and it sounds like you have plans for the future, so thank you. So I'm making a motion that we accept the bid.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilor Roundtree and a second from Councilor Hettinger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9.4, Phillips 66 Environmental Assessment Agreement.
I promised you I'd be back, and here I am.
Okay.
Same, basically the same exact agreement. This covers two wells, one that's existing, one that would be new. The existing one is right in our back parking lot entrance, just right there in our entryway. And they would be installing a new one out in front on our parking lot. There is a map that's attached to the end of the agreement. If you want to see exactly where that is, I think it's where Robin normally parks, maybe-ish. So she might have to not park there for a day or two while they install it. But it's just right out in front in one of the parking stalls out in, actually it might be one of the handicap disabled spaces, I'm not sure. So that would be this agreement. They'd pay us $3,000 just like the other one. It's for 5 years.
Any questions or comments? Councilor Augie.
They're anticipating, have they had any indication of more downflow that way, or?
I don't know. Part of the agreement is they have to share their reports with us, so we could know or would know what's going on, but I honestly don't know what they...
I saw a lot of marks in Circle K. Are those actually wells also, or just one in the city?
Oh, they have some over there too. Yeah, they have them all over the place around
Yeah,
here.
I know that, but okay. Because those are all above ground tanks over there, so.
I'll entertain a motion. Councilor Hettinger.
I move to approve the environmental access agreement with Phillips 66.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilor Hettinger and a second from Councilor Preller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Item number 9.5, Resolution 1337-25, sick and FMLA leave personnel policy updates. Madam Clerk, will you introduce the resolution by title only?
A resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Page, Coconino County, Arizona, amending certain purchasing provisions of the personnel rules of City of Page.
That's a typo. It should be amending certain personnel it should be FMLA provisions. Sorry.
Does she need to reread that?
No.
Okay, so this is over to you then?
Yeah, I guess. So just a couple of updates here to our personnel policies. The first one, with respect to sick leave, is largely just to comply with state law. Those issues, that's pretty much just right out of the state law. On the FMLA, this one's has to do with when somebody has a baby, an employee is entitled to take FMLA leave for bonding time with that, or if they adopt a child, and they can take up to the full 12 weeks for bonding time. And the default is that they're supposed to generally use those in one block. So you can take up to 12 weeks at the time of the birth or right before or whatever. But we are allowed under the law to let them break that up if we want to. And because we didn't have anything in writing saying that it was kind of the default provision, we did start to run into some issues where we had people that would kind of use it as a vacation bank, so that if they knew that they were unlikely to be able to get time off during a certain time, but they wanted to take time off over a holiday or something like that, that they would save a couple of weeks of FMLA leave and then say, I'm taking 2 weeks of FMLA leave over this holiday, and then I'm going to take 2 weeks of FMLA leave over that holiday. And it became a real staffing challenge. So that's why we put that one in there. And then the other one is the same thing when we have several of these situations in the city where we might have two spouses that work for the city, and when a child is born, the law says that we can only allow them to take 12 weeks total instead of each taking 12 weeks. And so staff is recommending that we make that cumulative for a couple. If they have a baby and they're both employees, that they get 12 weeks cumulative to take, but not 12 weeks each. So that's our recommendation.
Any questions? Councillor Hettinger.
And that's to comply with the law. We don't have the ability to, if we wanted to, could we give 24 weeks?
We could give more. If we wanted to, we could give more. FMLA leave is unpaid, so we would run into some issues probably with the people that do our benefits. They don't really like us to do extended. But we could, yes, we could let them take 12 each, so 24 total between both of them. But again, this tends to cause staffing issues when we got people gone for that long.
Yep.
We have a hand from Councillor Hammond and then Councillor Roundtree.
So I'm uncomfortable with the idea of limiting individual parents' rights simply because they're married to the spouse of somebody else they had a child with. Regardless if somebody is male, female, mother, or father, they all should be entitled to that leave. So I don't like this. I understand the staffing challenges, but that's not the employee's fault. And I think that if we're going to continue a work culture where people want to work with us, we need to grant maximum leave to both people in a married couple that happens to work for us.
Thank you. Councillor Roundtree.
I will just ditto what she said. That's exactly what I was thinking. I would hate to think that because they work somewhere that one of the two spouses in a married couple would not get the opportunity to have that 12 weeks at home of bonding. It's so critical for that bonding period, and so I would hate to keep that. So I too understand staffing, but I would want both of those individuals to be able to have that 12-week bonding period if they chose to take that.
Councillor Augie.
I believe Josh said that they could both take it, but at the same time, didn't you, the total of 12 weeks?
It would be cumulative, so as it's written here, they would share a total of 12 weeks of FMLA. So instead of each of them being able to take 12 weeks, like one could take 6 and the other could take 6, or one could take 8 and one could take 4, but they couldn't both take 12, the way that it's drafted.
And just to be devil's advocate here, I realize that, probably, the city, and then I don't know where the other businesses like the hospital, schools, and stuff like that, but most of our employee people work in the hospitality or food service. They don't get any of that at all. And so, this definitely is a benefit for them, but I think when we had our kids, we didn't have anything like that. So if we took off, fortunately I was salaried, but take off a half a day and that's it.
I'm going to ask a question and then Councillor Preller. So when you were mentioning that this is unpaid, correct? But they can get benefits through our providers, like our insurance or our whatever that group is. Now, if one couple were to be allowed to have a total of 24, and this provider says, well, that's, we'll only pay you for 12. And is that just a risk that a couple would take?
It wouldn't be that wouldn't be an issue. So they would get 20. I mean, they would, between the both of them, they would get a total of 24, but each one could only take 12. So that wouldn't be an issue. It is unpaid leave, but they're still maintained, they're still employed, and they still get all of the health insurance benefits and everything else. And not to get too far into the weeds, but if they have sick time on the books, they're forced to take that sick time while they're on FMLA leave, so they actually are getting paid.
Okay.
But if they don't have enough vacation and sick time, then it's just unpaid leave, but all the other benefits stay the same.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Councillor Preller?
So I think there's not a lot of discussion being had about the non-consecutive thing. I just want to get in my 2 cents on the couple sharing the 12 weeks of FMLA. I'm going to echo the cry that restricting a couple to 12 weeks just because they're married seems nonsensical. I mean, in theory, someone could just get divorced to get their extra, 12 weeks of FMLA, right? Don't do that.
Or
But
be living together and then they get it and the other because they're married.
can I just ask, since the only real argument against that right now seems to be staffing issues and gripes from the benefits people.
No, it's not gripes from the benefits people. It's just staffing issues. When you've got 2 people gone for 3 months,
Okay.
and you've got multiple people on FMLA leave, it's purely staffing. And this was a Darren decision. This was what he had directed. We just hadn't brought it forward to the council, so that's what he, based upon staffing concerns, that's what he wanted to go with.
Do we have any sort of data on average how many people we've got going on FMLA in a year for this? And how many of them are couples?
I don't know if we can share that.
Yeah, we got to be a little bit careful because there's not very many. I can't say, for bonding this year, we probably had 5 or 6 at least, maybe more, for bonding time this year, employees. And I don't know how many couples we have, that are married in the city, but we have a handful at least. So that really wouldn't affect that many people. It's not a huge deal, honestly, one way or the other. If the council doesn't like it and they want to say, they can each get 12 weeks, it's not as big of a deal as the intermittent leave. It wasn't causing as many problems as the intermittent leave was.
Councillor Hettinger?
I feel like I kind of started this. So I do want to say that in previous jobs, like as our city attorney mentioned, this is the standard, that if you are a married couple, you get 12 weeks total, not 12 weeks each. I think the difference is that here in the city of Page, we probably have this happen more than most companies do. I would be okay with keeping this as is, but I would be interested. I want the city to be a place where people love to work. So if this ends up being something that employees are really frustrated about, I would hope it would come back before city council. But I do just want to mention, I have read this before. I've taken FMLA for bonding with a child, and I've seen this at previous places of employment. I think it just probably happens more here. So
I have another question. So let's just say there's a couple that has a child, and they were both allowed to take 12, and they could do one of them takes 12 and the other takes 12 after that. Mm-hmm. If we maintain 12 for each individual, could it just fall to whoever is over this person to maybe talk to him, say, is there any way you guys can do it one after the other rather than together, make it a little easier on us, just kind of work with them?
We don't typically, we have to be careful about the FMLA. I mean, you probably could have that conversation, but it would be a little bit risky, depending on how they heard it and what they heard you were saying. So I think the general approach of the management is to just let people elect what they want to take. And if it causes major issues or something, then maybe. But for the most part, we just let them elect what they want to take, and then we deal with it.
Councillor Roundtree and then Councillor Preller?
He was before I was.
Or the other way, okay.
Could you do something, phrase it like you guys each get 12, but you're only allowed to overlap 3 consecutive weeks, something like that? Can't work.
I don't
That
think
would
we
break
can
it up
do
again.
that.
Yeah, that would cause the breakup again. Councillor Roundtree?
Yeah, that's what I was going to, I mean, we used to give 4 weeks pay, 4 weeks half pay, and then 4 weeks of no pay. to support our employees. But I don't understand why we could just not say they can't take it simultaneously, because for the infant, the best thing would be have, a mother could take off a week and then the other parent could take off a week and another parent, they could go back and forth. And then that would help the city, because I'm just saying I can see where if you said not simultaneously, it would be very beneficial for the child for bonding,
Then
and
it
it
would
would be
pull
a
it
very
back into
healthy
the
thing.
problem
So
of them breaking it up and taking
Yeah,
it on their.
federal law
on the
doesn't
holiday.
allow us. This
we
federal
get
law
it.
allows us to do these things that we've
Okay.
proposed to do, but they don't get into the other scenarios.
So this is asking for two. I'll entertain a motion.
I entertain a motion that we give both parents 12 weeks.
Second.
Was that enough of a motion for what you need?
Yeah, so what we have is a resolution, so the way that I would interpret that is that you're moving to adopt the resolution, but to delete the last, I think it's the last sentence, the last sentence of section 2, of the proposed section 2. So we would just delete that entirely, where we're not restricting them to share the 12 weeks.
Yes, thank you.
Do we need to restate that?
I asked the clerk, I don't know. You can, it's been, yeah.
I'll make an amendment to the motion.
Well, let's just,
Well,
yeah,
I make a motion then that we adopt resolution 1337-25 sick and FMLA leave personnel policy updates, but to strike that, that they have to share the 12 weeks.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion from Councilor Roundtree and a second from Councilor Hammond. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 9.6, Essential Air Service Specialist. Over to you, Brian.
Yeah, Mayor and Council. So on here just recently, staff was contacted by a specialist. We have our Essential Air Service coming up, our contract. Essentially, I believe every one of you are aware, we get a subsidy with our Essential Air Service that provides for our airline service to and from Page. There's a lot of moving pieces to that, and that's going to be coming up in about a year, 13 months. But essentially, we sat down, myself, Linda, Mayor, Kyle, and we got a little presentation. And essentially, what we're looking at is a specialist and he's done this for other communities, pitches Page to other airlines that generally have these contracts. There's going to be a lot of different options here. Do we want to stay with alternate air service? Do we want alternate essential air service, essential air service? There's different modifications we could make to the airport that would allow us to enhance that. A lot of moving pieces. There's different airlines that maybe already have a presence at airports, whereas some essential air service airlines maybe not have that and would have to pay more. Different routes. What best serves Page? So essentially, this specialist would go to different airlines, coast to coast, that do these type of services, pitches Page, this is where we're at, this is what our airport is, this is our market, obviously largely tourism. Of course, we want to focus on the benefits that we have for the citizens, low-cost airfares down to Phoenix. But then basically pitches this to the different airlines and then comes back to us like, Page, based on this is what these airlines can do, and our recommendation is this is what would best serve you, and give you a matrix of different options that you would, that these different airlines could come in. The cost of this is roughly $40,000, just under $40,000. Yes, that's in the general manager, or the city manager's spending authority, but in that, my practice has always been down at the utility, if I don't have that in my budget, and this is just some kind of surprise that comes up or an opportunity, I'm gonna bring that to you. And so happy to answer any questions on that. May or may have some comments on it, but those of us that listen to the presentation believe there's some value that could come from this.
Yes, Councillor Augie.
Yeah, I mean, we know pretty much sure that there's going to be 2 airlines that are going to be trying to woo us to their side, Contour and SkyWest. I would like to see more of someone giving us direction for different stuff at the airport as far as what we can do, an outside look at it, and the airport itself, and what other benefits we can do to derive revenue from the airport. Yeah, this is going to be valuable. Josh would probably know better than us because he's dealt with them for several years on this. So, but I wish we could get a little bit more on the runnings of the airport, driving revenue and that type of stuff.
There's some, what I will say about it, and that I've learned since that meeting. I was very impressed with the meeting. Kyle was there. Linda was there. We were all very impressed with what we felt like it could offer to us. But there are some things that we need to make sure that such a specialist realizes. We really need to see the difference between alternate essential air service and the benefits that we receive versus just essential air service and the benefits we may receive. And Josh, you were mentioning that there's a specialist lawyer that works with the FAA that can help us navigate, to make sure that we're on the best path possible for us, correct? And
Yeah, what I would recommend, and this consultant may be able to help with either one, I'm not sure, but I would recommend that we have some discussions, probably in an executive session, about strategy, because there's, I think, some decisions that we need to make in our approach. We may not want to chase EAS. We may want to try to lay the groundwork to continue with AEAS without going through the EAS process. And I don't want to say too much because, these things are highly political and strategy, and we would want to get some advice on that. But there are some benefits, and that's how we've tried this approach a couple of times in the past. In 2022, we didn't go back out to bid. We just asked if DOT would reapprove the grant, and that allows us to keep control of who our carrier is. Under EAS, the DOT selects the carrier, not the city. We can make a recommendation as to who we want, but at the end of the day, we don't have control over that. They can award it to anybody that meets the minimum requirements. So we probably need to decide where we're headed with this from a strategic standpoint, and then we could bring them on to help with whatever we're trying to accomplish at that point.
Councillor Roundtree.
So isn't that the purpose of hiring this group, so they can help us make that decision between the two? Or give us recommendations, or they're just going out to bring in carriers? We'll have to make the decision for EAS or AES. And then they're just bringing in companies? So what's the difference? I thought these guys were going to help us make that decision on which was better for Page.
He did say that he would present orderly packages to us about these different options that we had so that we can make an educated decision in the timely manner, since we are on there's some deadline thing in February, and he recommends that we would want to make our decision by April. But anyways, there's certain points along the way in which he could have things for us, and he did mention that both of those areas would be presented. When I went through his paperwork, I could remember some of that
So
Councilor
from
Roundtree?
some of the other airlines in the past that were interested, I was not even, I mean, when I was not up here at that time, I was like, yeah, I hope they don't go with those guys. Now that we have Contour and then SkyWest, I mean, for small towns, is there anyone as stronger than SkyWest that are servicing small towns right now? So I would
The
lo-
examples that he gave us in the meeting had six, was it six or five? It was six options for their choice and for them to review over. And it sounded like most of his had either 5 or 6 for these different communities. And I thought it was a good plan.
I like the idea.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say her next. You want to go her first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Councilor Hettinger.
Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor. Looking at their proposed timeline, they start their research in September 2025, so I don't think we can wait for a quarterly update on whether or not we should do EAS or AEAS. And so whether we choose to go with them tonight, which is a question, I think we do need to have that meeting very quickly since we're mid-August. And so I don't know if they're the right person to give us the recommendation on EAS, AEAS, but it sounds like we need to move very fast.
Luckily, we do have that extra month because he usually offers his services for a 12-month period. So he's used to the process. Councilor Farrell.
And I agree with Councilor Hettinger. We have to jump on this. And I like the idea of somebody coming in to help do some heavy lifting that we, the city, don't have to do. And so I like it that somebody comes in and give us packages, and I think this would be a good opportunity for us.
And I will say that at the meeting, I was pleasantly surprised that the price was where it was. I was expecting something to be more.
They do present a good written thing here for us, so.
Councilor Hettinger?
So we are currently AEAS, is that correct? Right. Because the project goal that I'm looking at is that they are going to secure at least 3 proposals for EAS service. And so I'm hesitant to, I'm not opposed, I'm hesitant to accept this tonight until we get more information, because I agree with Councilor Roundtree that I would like to determine first if we're doing AEAS or EAS before we contract them to go get us 3 proposals for EAS that may not be worth it unless they're going to do that recommendation for us first. And I'm trying to read very quickly, but I haven't seen in here that they're going to do the analysis for Page on what makes the most sense.
And I thought that when we were looking at SkyWest, we would have to be EAS, and they thought that they could switch us over easily if we went with them. But I submitted a list of questions that I had concerns, length of runways, and all of those questions that I submitted to in a letter. And so I would want to know also how much it's going to cost us to get our airport up to where we can be EAS before we go with them. I mean, I like this idea is what I'm trying to tell you guys, but I have too many questions right now. If they came back and everything was EAS, I mean, do you see what I'm saying? How much is that going to cost us airport-wise? Because for SkyWest to come in, if my understanding, and they would have been EAS, they were telling us some of the changes that would have had to been made at the hospital, I mean at the airport. Did we ever get far enough to know what that looked like and how much that was going to be, Kyle? Do you know? Because that was an example of a
We could do
company that approached us
AEAS
that
with SkyWest. We can do AEAS with any carrier. that we
can, but they said that there were different things, some things that would have to be updated and changed to comply with EAS standards, right?
Well,
Is there a specific question that I can, I know you're
I'm just
kind of
saying.
open-ended.
Well, I'm
One of the
just
things
saying.
in order, when you look at just the feasibility for the airport, outside of EAS, outside of AEAS, in order to get a larger jet than what we have, to move past the 30 passenger jet, we have to change the classification of the airport and go from a class 3 to a class 1.
I understood that.
Class 1, the biggest hurdle we have is the airport rescue and firefighting, or ARF. That requires an ARF station, a manned ARF station at the airport. And if you know, we've been discussing back and forth a little bit about a shared airport fire station with the local fire station. Before we do that, we cannot go to Class 1. We have to have that fire station in.
And so that's, we approve though in the budget, the fire station,
We approved the design.
the design. We just
And
haven't decided if we can share it with the airport
Yeah,
yet.
so there are some other things going, we can talk about that at another time, but that's the biggest hurdle, is going to a full-time ARF station. And so ARF stations cost money and take time. So right now, we are not in a position to land a CRJ 700 at the airport.
Mayor.
And that's anything above 30 passengers.
Ryan?
There's a lot of moving pieces to this, as you know. What this consultant is offering to do is help you make a business decision. The presentation is a bit general, but we can drill in, ask him to help us drill into the business decision of doing AES, alternate essential air service versus essential air service. Within, of course, there's going to be legal items to consider while you make your business decision. But what this person's doing is offering his services to assist you with making a business decision. If you authorized me to move forward with it, I would specify that in a scope.
You would specify, we need more info on the two options.
Need help doing EAS versus AEAS.
So if my understanding is that is part of this, then I'm interested. But if
did
not,
not-
I want that question answered before we go out to a company that's going to recommend something that we aren't financially ready to take on.
What you could do, if you wanted to move forward with this, is direct me to move forward with it, with the understanding that he would help us with that.
Can I recommend that we do an executive session so we can talk about these things and our strategy and why we might go one way or the other? It would be a little bit cleaner, I think, to do that, and it becomes more challenging. We can do that for legal advice and whatnot with a law firm. We can't bring a consultant in here and have an e-session and talk with the consultant. So we haven't had a chance to talk about these things. We're kind of making the sausage here in the meeting. But these are very political processes, and I don't know where the politics are today. And what we may get from the law firm who's very connected politically to Washington, D.C., the lawyer that I work with was the FAA's counsel and did these from the other side. They wrote the regulations. They know all of the players, and they can tell us, they can give us advice on what the political climate is with respect to AEAS right now versus EAS, and they can make recommendations about what they think our best success will be. There are risks to going EAS instead of AEAS, but we may not have much of a choice at the end of the day. If the politics right now in Washington, D.C. is AEAS is on the outs, they're not going to do that for you, then we don't really need to worry too much about it. We move forward with EAS. If AEAS is an option, then we may want to come up with a strategy as to how we can best align ourselves to keep our AEAS grant and continue to have control over who our carrier is.
Then can I make a motion that we proceed by seeking legal counsel first before we make this decision, and then address this after we have sought legal counsel?
An executive session?
And an executive session, yes, thank you.
That was a motion, yes?
Yes, that was a motion.
Second.
Comments from Councilor Preller?
Do we need to nail down a time and date for that, or just at the next meeting?
I would say the next
I
meeting.
can see what their availability is for the 27th.
Okay. We have a motion from Councilor Roundtree and a second from Councilor Augie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? Nay. Madam Clerk, will you do a roll vote?
Mayor Kidman.
Nay.
Vice Mayor Farrell.
Nay.
Counselor Hammond.
Aye.
Counselor Augie.
Aye.
Counselor Preller.
Aye.
Counselor Hettinger.
Aye.
Counselor Roundtree.
Aye.
Okay, vote is 5-2. That is the last item on our regular agenda. I will look for a motion for us to go into executive session for Republic Services Waste Collection Contract. Councilor Hettinger.
Mr. Mayor, I move to go into executive session and stay in this room.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilor Hettinger, second by Councilor Farrell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.